Eddie was 5 and I was 4, or Eddie was 6 and I was 5. And Eddie had hurt his leg and it was bandaged. And one day in Belmore, we went picking strawberries. And on the way back from picking strawberries, we had 2 buckets of strawberries. I was ahead of Eddie for the first time in my life because he had a bad leg and couldn't run. So I put down both of the pails of strawberries and I ran off knowing he would have to pick them up and carry them home and he couldn't catch me. So, needless to say, Eddie wasn't happy with me when we got home and he went after me. But of course, his mother and his Aunt Lil knew it couldn't be good little Herbie. It must be bad Eddie.
When I was 8, I got to spend the summer with my cousins Margot and Herb. I spent the whole summer in Bridgeport, and we went to the JCC day camp. I rode to get there, to get to Bridgeport. I rode up in Uncle Lou's truck. And was that exciting? I rode right up in the big truck. I got to your, and we used to go on the bus every day. And I remember Herbie saying, "I have a mishpacha right here in my hand. I'll tell you about it so you understand." And I don't remember the rest.
This is the Ema, the mother.
Delirium memories.
It was so enormous. It was so impressive. Hearing the story, I'm jealous that I never got to take a long ride in that big truck.
I remember in North Belmont, we had a little tree in the front yard. Now, the foxes would come in once or twice a year, not more than that, and we loved them dearly.
I should hope
And
so.
we would be sitting in this front yard in the tree, and I would be sitting there all day waiting for them. And Mary would come out and say, "A watching pot never boils. A watching pot never boils." There was a crazy guy up there. What was his name? Do we have
I don't know his name.
He was a little retarded.
In North Belmont?
No, this is when you were in Bridgeport. And I was scared of him. Anyhow, one time we were going, so we were always trying to avoid him because he was a crazy guy. He was an older. But one time, Herb and I are cutting back, and there was some bullies there who, did they tie us up?
Tied us up.
They tied us up, and I started to cry. And afterwards, they finally let us go because I guess I was crying. And Herb was so disappointed in me. And he said, my big cousin Eddie's crying. I said, no, I did it on purpose so that they would let us go.
No, I remember that differently. My recollection was, I said, "Eddie, that was so smart that you made believe you were crying so that I couldn't believe that my big cousin Eddie would cry." Eddie, one day when we left Belmore, Eddie brought his whole toy chest out. He wanted to give me his whole toy chest. For Christ's sake.
I remember the time that I gave you all the gangster stuff. I had Monopoly money, and I had a little knife from the kitchen, and a little cap pistol.
Yeah.
I gave him to you.
That was a Christmas present. And one of those Christmases, Eddie got as a Christmas present T-shirts that his mother had emblazoned. Edward Haywood Chrysler.
I'm living up the mountain. I go pick her up at the airport. I drive up to the mountain. I'm saying, I'm going to just watch television. No!
I travel 3,000 miles. It's my first time in the Caribbean. I am so thrilled to be there. And Eddie takes me to his house and says, "Well, watch television." Is this why I've come to Jamaica? Give me a break.
She cursed me out.
I'm not going to stay here.
I also remember sleeping with Herbie in Canada.
How old were you?
4 or 5.
I remember my mother bathing you in the sea.
And you were peeping?
Yes, I learned that from you.
Terrible stuff.
Oh, yes.
And Herbie was 6 months younger than me. So I remember them saying, "Helen, how do you spell car? And they said, Herbie, how do you spell car? C-A-R. So I was devastated. Not only was I skinny, I was stupid.
A few years ago, I had this friend, Dante, and he got run over one day, and the guy that ran him over just took off and didn't say anything. So for the longest time, I just hoped that guy would have something bad happen to him. Ever since then, I've been going out of my way to help people however I can. Even at the expense of my own sanity, I'll go and help someone if I think they need it. Even they can give me the hardest time, and I won't take no for an answer. Well, I grabbed him by the shoulders as he was lying down. I looked into his eyes and started yelling at him. I was like, "You're like our little mascot. You can't go. We need you here. And we all love you." And everyone was all crying. The people who you wouldn't expect would ever cry, they were crying. And I kept shaking him, and then I remember I slapped him across the face, and that was like. He finally woke up and sat up straight and coughed everything out. And he was like,
Go ahead.
And one of the kids on our trip got alcohol poisoning, and everybody just wouldn't take him to the hospital. They thought, oh, he's just sick, he's gonna sleep it off. But it got to the point where we had to take him to the hospital in the Bahamas. And our hotel didn't want to get attention by calling the ambulance, so we had to drive in a cab to the hospital. I don't know, it was just really scary. But it was okay? Yeah, if we didn't take him to the hospital.
Many years ago, I was at Eddie's, and Eddie had a friend, that very guy.
Yeah, Bunny Francis.
Bunny Francis. He was about 6'10". And his girlfriend was like 4'8", little blonde. Remember that woman?
Yeah.
And they started to have a fight. And Bunny picked her up. And Eddie was living in the house in Kingston. And he took her out the window and he said to her, I'm going to drop you. Eddie ran inside. And Brian Sirota they all ran inside of him. I said I went over to him with a broken bottle, and I said, "You put her down." The one that comes to me is, "I have often walked down the street before, but the pavement never sank beneath my feet before. All at once am I